Have you ever felt like you have something to prove when you sing for people? Like you just put so much pressure on yourself to live up to people's expectations. Even if you're really humble and modest, and maybe you're even a little shy with your talent, do you still find yourself feeling like you want to impress people with your voice? Maybe you still find your inner critic taking jabs at your soft spots. Like it knows all the right buttons and where to find them. But then you think, well, maybe it's just easier to keep my voice to myself. I can just avoid disappointing people or avoid failing to live up to my own impossible standards. So you stay silent, you stay stuck and disconnected from your voice and your music. Well, today I'm sharing with you one simple shift in how you think about performing or sharing your voice with others that will help to free you from this death grip of the inner critic so that you can actually enjoy sharing your voice and take that pressure off of yourself to be perfect. And when you make this shift, you'll get back to the heart of singing, the joy of singing, and maybe even feel a little inspired to take that next step towards sharing your voice again. Welcome to Reawaken Your Voice. I'm Lainey Crawford, holistic voice coach, singer, song weaver. I believe the song in your heart holds medicine for yourself and for the world. And yet too often, something happens along the way. We shut down our voice and our song goes unsung. Whether you stopped singing years ago or have always harbored an unrealized dream to start, if you're ready to finally give voice to those unsung songs in your heart, then take my hand as I guide you to free yourself from the inner critic, reignite your creativity, find your courage, sing with confidence, and reawaken those dormant parts of yourself aching for a revival. So dust off your songbooks, tune up your guitar, bust out your singing bowls, your shakers, your drum. Actually, all you really need is your voice, your breath, open ears, and an open heart. Let's play. We've all heard the very true statement, it's not about you. When we get all up in our heads about what will people think, and we find ourselves paralyzed by this fear of judgment. We've all heard it, but it's not about you. Get over yourself. And that's so true. We know this. As heart-centered, loving human beings, of course, we know this. It's about the message, not the messenger. We are merely the vessel. Yes. But it's almost like we forget when it comes to actually putting ourselves out there. Fear takes over and we start worrying about how people will view us, how they'll see us, what will they think of us. And suddenly it's all centered around me, my voice, my imperfections, my flaws, my weaknesses, me. It's so self-centered. And actually, it's not in an arrogant kind of way, right? It's actually quite the opposite. It's this self-consciousness, self-doubt, self-judgment, to the point of losing sight of what singing is really about. So today we're going to take a look at this one simple shift that will realign you with the true meaning of singing, of making music and sharing your voice, what it's really about. Now, when I came back to this understanding of what singing is truly meant to be, I was able to let go of the need for perfection and really set myself free to actually put myself out there and share my voice in new ways. And that came with this much more laid back attitude about each performance. I'm kind of like putting that in quotes, performance. There's much less pressure on myself to perform. And then singing could be fun again. Let's make singing fun again. We know it's fun. We know the feeling. But sometimes we let it slip away. Sometimes we forget. So let's remember together. Now, there was a season of my life when I was performing multiple times a week, like in between group rehearsals and solo practice sessions and voice lessons and competitions and recitals and shows and performances, gigs at various venues. It was a lot. In many ways, I was fueled by the pressure, the necessity to always be on my game. But in more ways than that, the pressure I was putting on myself was actually unhealthy. It led to burnout because of that mindset I was carrying. And then there was also a time in my life when the pressure I was putting on myself to sound at the top of my game all the time actually held me back from performing or sharing my voice at all. Whether it was casually, like even around a campfire or at a party or a family event, or more formally by like creating these performance opportunities for myself. I just shut down. So it was this all or nothing mindset. Either I'm all in at the top of my game and I deliver perfection, or it's nothing. I keep my voice to myself and don't sing for people at all. So there have been times where that pressure was fueling me in an unhealthy way. And then there was also times where the pressure was holding me back from sharing at all, which is also unhealthy. You know, as singers, as musicians, we need to keep that music flowing through us and that creativity alive to feel whole, to feel that holistic wellness. It was through this distance from my art, this time in silence, that I was reminded of why I sang in the first place. I returned home to the heart of it all, which leads me to the one simple shift. Are you ready? It's very simple, and yet we need to remind ourselves over and over again. Singing is an offering from the heart, not a performance that defines your self-worth. I'm going to say that again. Singing is an offering from the heart, not a performance that defines your self-worth. It's about opening up your heart and sharing what's inside. It's not about having something to prove. It's about having so much to give. It's about connection, not perfection. So we're shifting from this concept of performing to the idea of offering your music from the heart. Now, you probably started here. Of course, the music is just like pouring out of your heart. You want to share it. It may have even felt easy and just second nature at some point. And maybe you're not experiencing that as much now and wondering what happened to that feeling. You see, over time, maybe your focus shifted. Maybe as you sought to hone your craft, you started demanding more and more of yourself. And it became more about you, your skills, your technique. And you get all up in your head and forget that it all is coming from your heart. So we have to drop back down to that heart space. The word offering implies a voluntary donation, volunteered time doing God's work, helping mankind, something offered in worship or devotion. Offering can mean a gift, something given, a product or service that is offered for sale. What does the word offering mean to you? What are you offering your voice in service to? So coming back to this, singing is an offering from the heart, not a performance that defines your self-worth. The most important aspect of the performance is always the heart. Even if the voice cracks, if we feel it, that's what we remember. So if your heart is in it, that's what truly matters. That's what people feel. They feel your humanity. You know, that's the beauty of imperfection. Just as an example, I was participating in a voice workshop once with a woman who was undergoing cancer treatments. And yes, you could hear the impact of these treatments on her voice. You could say her voice sounded weak, and yet all I could feel was strength when I listened to her sing. Like that strength was deeply penetrating through her sound. And the phrasing spoke of her resilience. You could hear what she was going through. You could feel how this journey had wreaked havoc upon her physical body. And yet you could feel the strength of her spirit, the aliveness of her soul. It was so human. It moved me to tears. It was profound. in shifting from a performance mindset. Oh, I'm performing. I have to show what I'm capable of. I don't want to let people down. In shifting that to an offering mindset, where you are opening up and freely sharing your heart. You can free yourself from the perfectionism and the destructive judgment that so easily creep in. Return to the heart of connection. And remember why we're singing in the first place. It's about connection, human connection. So if you opened your heart, what would be inside? Perhaps that's the scary part. The vulnerability of letting other people see what's inside, and not just see it, but feel it. So sharing the contents of your heart, what does that bring up for you? And what if you shifted the focus from this idea of exposing the truth inside of you to focusing on what that could do for someone else? Like, what is inside of you that you have to offer, to share, something you have to give? And there's so much. There's so much. A piece of the human experience to help people feel less alone, to help them feel understood, seen, heard, to remind them what's inside their heart. That's really what their experience of your voice and your music is a reflection of, if you think about it. Something inside of your heart resonates with something inside of their heart. So no, it's really not about you at all. But in offering a piece of you, a piece of yourself, a piece of your heart, you can let go of all the doubts and the pressure to be perfect. You're sharing your heart, not so much your voice or your gift or your talent. You're creating human connection from heart to heart, awakening the hearts of others, bringing others back to the heart of what really matters in this human experience. Singing is an offering from the heart, not a performance that defines your self-worth. Hey friend, thank you so much for listening. If this episode unlocked something in you or moved you in some way, I'd be so grateful if you'd leave me a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're streaming this, and share this episode with a friend who's been praying for a vocal breakthrough. Until we meet again, keep nurturing that song in your heart. Lots of love.